Concession Sessions. We have a very special guest today, continuing our series of people we work with. It just happens to be that we work with a TikTok famous person. He also knows everything about our studio in here, this vault. I believe he had something to do with our accessing it.
I think the whole venue, really. You were thinking.
Well, I was a bank robber before.
Well, no. Now you're being trained. This is, I'm telling you, man. This is Mr. McGee's like evil plot. He's like, yes, I'm training a group of bank robbers.
Yeah, because the dude just keeps buying banks.
And
we keep doing the same
he
thing
wants you guys
over and over and over again.
He's like, keep cutting through the walls.
That's
How fast
what we
and
do.
quiet can you do it? How fast and quiet can you?
It's slow and loud.
Pretend like there's
pretty bad.
Like there's a residence.
Yeah.
It's a SWAT training facility as well as a bank robbery training facility.
Yeah, the other one actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a weird dynamic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that you get the police in there training, and then people learn how to break into bank vaults in between.
Yeah. This thing here, how long did you said you had a bad day once when you were hungover trying to get in?
Dude, this was terrible. So, I mean, we're in an old bank vault that was built in so the bank was built in 22. So presumably this is 1920s, early 1920s construction. And you can see actually as you go outside where they used wood form boards, just rough sawn form boards to form the concrete to create these massively thick 18-inch concrete walls that are double reinforced with rebar. And I've been in construction my whole life, and until I cut through a bank vault that was built in 1922, I would have never even thought that rebar was a thing in the 20s.
Yeah.
But it is, because they have 2 layers of like 3/4 inch thick steel rods.
Coming down here from Pittsburgh.
Oh, and they just make a mesh through the wall. So you cut through that 18 inches of concrete, and then what you have after that is an air gap. And then there's half-inch thick steel plate all the way around the inside. So what I didn't know when we hired the guys, I'll give them a plug. True Line out of Baltimore, Maryland did an amazing job. So they come in with these big robotic saws. So they use a 42-inch Hilti robotic saw to make this cut and start taking it out in sections like a tic-tac-toe pattern, so they can get the blocks out in manageable sizes. So I get a call on a Monday. I'd planned on maybe like taking the day off or coming in a little late. I'd hit a little heavy the night before, so to speak. So Monday morning, they're like, hey, man, what are we going to do about this half-inch thick steel plate that's on the inside? I'm like, well, isn't that in your contract to cut through? They're like, oh, no, it's not in our contract. I'm like, well, how quick do you need it done? They're like, well, right now. Like now. So I had to get the torches, run down here. It was mid-July. At that point in the building, there was no air conditioning or anything in this vault. I mean, it's still a little humid right now, even with air conditioning in here. So, I don't know. It's probably like a few degrees colder than the sun in here. And I'm massively hungover, and I spend the next like 4 hours, worst punishment ever, torching through this hardened steel plate very slowly to create the door opening so they can make the rest of their cut.
Yeah, for everybody listening or watching, obviously you see the vault door, right? So that was at one time the only way to get in here.
I don't know if they can see the vault door.
In the mirror, if you look, you can see it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's big as shit, right?
Sorry.
Just like you ever would imagine in a movie.
Sorry,
man.
Almost as big as this mug of beer.
I'm not as big of a pervert as you are.
Yeah, I like mirrors, man. So you get this reflection of this big door. It's a massive door. It is
big old door.
If you would imagine Batman has a gun collection, it'd be behind that. So there had to be an access point. They cut this door in this big giant.
It wasn't just this side. So then on the other side of this, where we ended up putting the ladies' room in,
where the little vault door is.
Where the little vault door is. So there was another vault wall running basically where the stalls for the ladies' room is. So we had to cut the entirety of that wall out. I've never heard guys cuss. I mean, I've been in construction a long time, and I've never heard guys cuss so much. Now, and these guys that brought these big ass robotic saws from Baltimore, they're the guys that like when they do like metro tunnels, they just pour the tunnel, and then when they need to cut like air vents and things in the tunnel, they go through and pour the tunnel, and then they hire these guys to come back and cut them out. And they said this is just the hardest concrete that they had ever had to deal with. I mean, they fought it, and their blades were binding up. It's a pretty terrible experience for them.
I bet.
And I enjoyed watching that after I got done torching, and I didn't have to do that anymore.
What about the bathroom in here? Is that like?
No, that was actually so there was a hallway that came all the way down through this building when it was all a bank. That area, everything outside this vault, that was a corridor that went all the way to the end of the building, to the east side. And we built a bathroom on that side for that tenant when we moved them in, and then we put this bathroom in for the green room for the bands. And you know, the way things go around here, I can certainly see that bathroom being torn out in the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that we can rearrange and reaccommodate and do whatever we're doing this week. But that's the way it goes.
Working with engineers. These guys are just sitting in a cave today. There's a cave being developed underneath us right now.
Yeah.
It's not a cave. It's actually it's the underground system of vaults that was here originally that we're just kind of figuring out how to cut doorways through. Just
Well, trying to figure out how to build them. Basically, what you're trying to figure out how to do is to turn chicken salad into chicken shit. Or I'm sorry, chicken shit into chicken salad. I have the opposite way around. So anytime you're trying to redevelop what used to be a boiler room for a bank that was built, again, in the 1920s, it was only ever intended at that time and designed to be a boiler room. Now you want to convert it to a bar. That comes with some challenges. And so we were down there today, and tempers were flaring like a pack of hemorrhoids, but it's fine. We're working through it. We're working through the challenges, and we'll get there.
Hey, when you build it, we will run it.
I know. We're getting there very soon.
So talk about running things. Tell me about this blue collar boycott.
Oh, did you see that? I'm shocked you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we got a little traction.
It has 500,000 views. Over 500,000.
It's sponsored by Bud Light.
Yeah, whatever. See, here we go. So
tell us a little bit about this,
so
man.
the boy guy. Well, what's weird
Knee
about
slapper.
this? What's weird about this is I am probably unique in the fact that I know I'm a little older, but people my age are generally on Facebook and social media. Maybe back in the day had a MySpace page. I never did any of that. So the weird thing about how I launched this TikTok thing and this whole idea, it's weird that I'm even on TikTok.
Yeah,
I
know,
would
it's
really
really
not. I would, because I never mess with Facebook or Instagram or any of that stuff. What I always said was nobody cares what I had for lunch today, so why would I go on Facebook? I have nothing to share. So I got sort of hooked on TikTok when I got the flu, and I'm not going to call it the C word. I got the fucking flu a year and a half ago.
Just coincidentally after I had it and everyone else on my
Yeah,
staff
whatever.
had it.
Everybody on the staff
By
had it.
C word,
It was
he means
after
chlamydia.
it was after my band played the gig here for New Year's Eve, and a bunch of people got it.
I got to be honest with you, man. I would have went to work. I think I went to work with worse.
This New Year's
But
Eve?
everybody was freaking out.
Well, I know, but it was how I learned to handle it when I was just a young lad was if you have a fever, don't go to school.
Sure.
Okay, and so I felt like shit, and I had a fever, so you don't go share it with people. Other than that, so anyway, I was bored, and I'm not much of a TV guy, and I couldn't really do anything, and I don't, knock on wood, I'm not used to being sick because I generally don't get sick. So there I am for 3 days laid up, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, let me see what this whole TikTok thing's about. Maybe there's some hot chicks on there. Maybe I can watch some cool kitten videos.
Maybe.
Maybe I can find some cool kitten videos.
The wrong chicks, dude.
Some
The wrong
people-
chicks.
Some people dancing, whatever. So I get on TikTok, and then I kind of get into the whole TikTok thing because very quickly, what's unique about that is the algorithm. Once you start figuring out how to cue into what you're most interested in, that algorithm is better than anything at sending you. And it'll trick you every once in a while. Like it'll introduce you to something that you're not necessarily interested in, but it will send you what you're most interested in. And what's unique about that, or ironic about that, is when all the politicians a couple weeks ago were sitting there talking about how all they ever see when they go on TikTok are teenage boys dancing around dressed up like girls. Well, bro, that's your algorithm working on your behalf, okay? Because that's the way it works.
Right.
So they don't understand that clearly. So what I was getting was mostly like gun stuff, and I'm big into like military aircraft and all that, and a lot of political stuff. So then, when I decided to start posting on TikTok a year or so ago, and I've had several accounts taken down, I very quickly went down the rabbit hole of this polarization of left versus right, and I had a lot of fun because I am more right-leaning.
No.
What'll shock you? Well, but listen now,
No.
most people will be shocked to hear this. So I don't identify as a Republican because I think Republicans are assholes and rhinos mostly. Okay, we are dealing with the uniparty, but that's beside the point. So I voted for Bush 1. Now I'm older than you boys. So do you remember?
I didn't get to vote for him.
Do
I
you
was
remember
too young.
Bush
I'm older
1
than I
though?
look,
You remember
man.
Bush 1? So I voted for Bush 1. Second time when he was up for re-election as the incumbent, I was a Ross Perot guy. I wasn't a Bush guy. And then that was probably my first glimpse, and I was paying attention to politics at the time, where this third party, this Libertarian Party, is never going to get a fair shake. And that's sort of the way I felt about it at the time. So I didn't vote for no, actually, when I saw Perot was going the wrong way, I mean, he wasn't even getting a fair shake, I abstained again the second time Clinton ran. Didn't vote for Bush 2 either time. didn't vote in Obama 1 or 2 either time, and I didn't vote again until 2016 because I almost saw Trump as a third-party candidate who wasn't a third-party candidate. Somehow he was a third-party candidate who was able to crack into the Republican Party and actually get a nomination. Now, for that, and we're going to get into this discussion, so if you vote for Trump, you're automatically a Trump-tard, right? So I'm in love with the guy because I voted for him, and that's not the case at all.
I thought it's because you wore underwear with his face on it.
No, I don't have that. I don't have that either way.
It might be that pragmatic behavior.
joking.
Pragmatic is to say best of solutions and just try to do it.
Well, and that's sort of where blue collar boycott, getting back to that, that's where this comes from. So, there's a story for how I ended up on social media as a 48-year-old man a couple years ago and how we arrive at blue collar boycott. So, the boiler is running hot, boys.
Yeah.
The boiler is running hot in this country. I mean, it's a powder keg.
So whenever you talk about, it looks like, so C40 is an opposing organization, essentially, based on...
Well, I'm not sure that they understand that they're an opposing organization, and I don't think any of those people necessarily... Okay, so the people who are part of the organization or join, I'm not sure that they have any ill will towards humanity. They probably don't understand it yet. So... so you go back to this part where the left and the right is hyperpolarized right now. You can't, like growing up, I had friends who were liberals. Maybe I grew up in a more conservative family and we'd give each other shit. We could still have discussions. We're to the point in this country where they don't even want to talk to each other anymore. And now even the left is being broken down into various sects, not sex. As is the right. I mean, look what they've done to the LGBT community. Okay, so it was LGBT for the longest time. Now it's LGBT. Now you're beginning to see fractures between the LGB and the T, and now you're beginning to see fractures between the T and biological women. And on the right, they're doing the same thing. So who is doing it? I don't know. Who are the powers that be? I don't know. Like, someone has been sowing the seeds of division in this country for a very long time. The trees are mature and they're now bearing fruit, and that's why we are hyperpolarized. So I went down the rabbit hole of hyperpolarization. It's very easy. It's a very easy way to grow a huge following when you do that, because that's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
They want you to jump in someone's shit and they want to have a big fight. So I was ready to walk away from the whole thing because I was tired of the bullshit. It wasn't getting us anywhere. All I would do is get a channel banned, come back up, channel ban, come back up, channel ban. The process.
What were they
itself.
banning you for?
I don't know. TikTok will ban you for community guidelines violation. You don't ever really know. You say something that they don't like, and they just tell you it's a community guidelines violation for, I don't know, disinformation. They have a bunch. And then you just get that message, and you can't post for 3 days.
Oh,
and then
you get grounded.
You get grounded. And then yes. But at least they let you come back up, where so many of these other platforms, in my understanding, didn't.
Right.
Like one and done. Right? And
I got grounded on Twitter when I had a ban because I would follow tons of people. If they followed me back, I would not unfollow. But if they didn't follow me back within, 48 hours, 72 hours, I don't remember. I had a really good method. I would unfollow. And I did that so good, they thought I was a robot. So they banned me, and then they banned me again, and then finally I was like, I just can't do that.
What if you are a robot in the simulation?
Dude,
I actually to be like your Agent
I think this
Smith.
guy is.
I don't.
He is
know about
Agent
that.
Smith.
He's the Agent Smith.
Whatever, man.
I'm definitely Neo around this place. God.
I feel like
I would
that
say this.
guy
So
in the
you're
first one.
Grabowski. I've been thinking about this. So you're using this platform that's highly publicized currently, and whenever I met you and worked with you for a while, I was surprised that you would utilize that, and then. You found I guess there's an audience that is feeling the same way or similar that is also out there, which is also very surprising to me.
Well, it's tough because so if I get on here and I say tonight, and anybody watches this podcast, right, and I come on and say, hey, listen, I don't want to talk about what blue collar boycott is about. Let's talk about what it's not about. What it's not about, because I've sort of seen the error of my ways. And I understand that this hyperpolarization and us infighting is by design, and we're never going to accomplish anything, and that's also by design. So if I say, all right, look, this is a message of centrism. Let's find some common ground. Now, there are certain elements of the left and the right that will never find common ground. But by and large, I think a lot of people can come together. And that is really it doesn't even necessarily need to be blue collar. It's the working class. Okay, it's the 99% versus the 1%. The 99% is not in a good place right now. And meanwhile, so my analogy, and I'm full of analogies, is, we're all conditioned to go to a stadium. We all watch sports, right? You like this team, you sit on this side. I like this team, I sit on that side. Meanwhile, the entertainment, the game is being played in the middle. That's the distraction. The dude who owns a stadium is raking in the cash. He doesn't give a shit which team you root for. He's just happy that you argue with each other and you're rooting for a team because he just makes more money, okay? So that is, and I can't tell you who the powers that be are. I can tell you who I think they aren't. You're an educated person. You can keep up this stuff, right? Do you know the Klaus Schwab dude that eats the bugs guy? You know that guy?
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, so that's like a spokesmodel.
I'm educated, everybody.
So that's well, I mean, I think in my discussions with people, I think you're more in tune with sort of this stuff, which you might call a conspiracy theory. It's not. So World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, he's not in charge. He's just a spokesmodel. You're never going to see who the people are, the puppet masters who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. So when I created this blue collar boycott, what occurred to me was, first, before I even arrived at a name, was that this is asymmetric warfare against the common people, the working people, by the elites, by the 1%, by whoever it is. In asymmetric warfare, you're never going to know who the enemy is, and it's not important because the way you fight in asymmetric war is you identify weaknesses in the system they're using and you exploit those weaknesses. And when that hit me, it was like, fuck, we literally go out and build our own prison every day. As the working class. I don't care whether you are a skilled tradesperson or a laborer or a truck driver, whatever you are. When they start talking about implementing these 15-minute cities, and we'll get to that with the C40 org, how are they going to build that? How are they going to do that? How will they implement that infrastructure? Have you seen the videos coming out of China? What they have to do to get out of their zone?
No, I
You
haven't.
got to start paying attention to that.
So I didn't know the French person or whoever the bug guy is you just referred to.
Klaus Schwab.
And I didn't know about that. Here's the reason why. I do not have an algorithm that shows me this information because I'm typically seeking information that is so different. And it does have some sports, the things that I look at. And I would challenge you this. In your utopic world, if we and you and him were sitting around bored for a long time, even if there were no multimillionaires that owned any sports teams, we would eventually come up with something to fucking do. We would be a winner and someone would be a loser.
Well, that's true, and that may very well be human nature.
So don't knock on sports,
fault,
dude.
though.
A lot of the discipline in my life and the unity of teams has been involved in beating the shit out of someone else. You know what I mean? I find that motivating in business as well.
That's true.
Just saying.
Listen, competition is healthy. Competition is healthy. What I'm getting at is I'm not saying competition is not
A
healthy.
distraction point, though.
There's a distraction point of polarization. You sit on this side, you sit on that side, and the two never commingle. Right. And that's where we are in the United States politically right now. And that's by design. Until we can come together as Americans and realize that the direction we're heading in is not going to be good for our children. I'm not even worried about myself anymore as a 50-year-old man. What I'm trying to do is make sure that my children aren't locked up in some dystopian 15-minute city. People would say, well, what's your problem with the 15-minute city? I don't have one.
Hey, what does a 15-minute city do?
Okay, so, oh, Jesus. Okay, so here we go.
I didn't know this either.
I don't know if you know
I'm
this
really
about
big
us.
into this stuff. I've never heard of 15
You know the 15-minute city?
15-minute
Okay, so
city.
it's very huge. Okay, and this may be, in essence, another distraction. But so they're implementing it. I believe Cleveland's going to be the first one in the United States. In Europe, actually in Great Britain, it started there. Okay, they announced they're doing a 15-minute city. So what it is, it's all based on the climate change grift, which I believe is a grift. Now, listen, I don't want dirty water and I don't want dirty air. Somehow, climate change and not believing in that means that you want dirty air and dirty water. The two have been conflated into the same thing, and it's not at all. I don't necessarily believe that our activity as human beings has any effect on the climate of this planet. I think it just is the climate of this planet. A lot of it has to do with sun cycles. And there's a lot of other people out there who will tell you that if you look at science that's not presented in mainstream media. And not presented on TikTok. That's not the only place I get my news, okay? You got to do your research. But if your only filter is mainstream media, all you're going to hear is, oh, you got to get rid of gasoline engines and you got to buy an electric vehicle. You got to do this because we're all going to die. They've been preaching that. I remember Earth Day. Again, I'm older than you. The world's been ending. It was going to be an ice age first, and that didn't happen. So then it was going to be a heat wave. Then it was the ozone. You remember the ozone layer?
Can I tell you a quick story, Mike?
Yeah.
I was in fourth grade, and I watched the Medicine Man movie with Sean Connery.
Mm-hmm.
And after that movie, man, I cried. And then we had I had joined 4-H.
Right.
And we had an Earth Day thing, and I had to create a speech. It was my first public speaking engagement, and I won.
And look at you now.
I won, bro. Then I had to go speak amongst the other 4-H good speakers. I think I placed third. You know,
Right.
I had to pull my fucking bootstraps up, start working on my communication skills.
Right.
But look, bro, you said something that cracks me up. I don't believe in climate change. Well, me either. How the fuck? That's not a belief. That's like a non-practical thing to think of. It's like,
Well, yeah.
it's
so
not pragmatic.
It's not. You believe in God?
Yes.
Okay. So in the same way that I don't think that a person's arbitrary belief in climate change should dictate policy, I also don't think that a person's belief in a deity should dictate policy. Now, I believe in God, but you can't have it both ways, right? So if you're saying, okay, if a person has a belief system in something that I don't think exists because you can't prove it on paper necessarily, it's something you feel, that should not dictate policy. In the same way, religion should not dictate policy. And that's another one of these sort of polarizing conversations that
Hey,
you
man,
have.
if it wasn't for Christianity, you would not have the United States
I-
of America,
I'm
to be
confused.
honest with you.
I understand.
So the strategies of Martin Luther to separate and create freedoms for individuals based on what God gave us, not what our kings gave us, landowners gave us.
I get it, man.
Or anyone else gave us.
I get it, bro. I'm just saying, listen, this is part of those seeking this position of centrism where you can actually come together with people and begin to have a discussion about, okay, what the true problems are. You cannot say you can't make policy on climate change when that is your religion. Climate change is a person's religion at this point in this country. Okay. But then you can make policy based on Christianity or any other religion, okay? Because that is a person's belief system. There is no real scientific proof for either one. You believe what you believe. It's all basically faith-based. Let's just say, regardless of what it is, you can't make policy based on faith. And that's what I think causes a lot of this polarization. No, believe me, I'm on your side. I believe, but I can't justify my position while also attacking someone's religion of climate change.
Well, that's what our democratic republic kind of protects, bro, is the difference between the two. It is an experiment. I think we're facing something that we've never faced before, and that's the ability to globally network and connect and speak multiple languages and exchange information at the speed of light.
Well, that's part of the problem.
You know what I mean?
That's part of the problem.
I also had a really crazy thought when you were going off earlier. Yeah.
I haven't even started going off.
Because I was thinking, here's what my argument, or
Layla is gonna definitely win this one because she's like, this is going over 50 minutes. I would just like to say that
I'm probably gonna need another keg of beer.
Yeah, right. Well, you're 20 feet tall, so that makes sense. And so, anyways, I think that it's funny because Layla, who has been a guest on the show and is our amazing pub general manager, she was like, "Man, you guys are gonna end up talking about everything."
Oh, it's gonna get deep.
I want to take it more shallow because
I'm gonna take it shallow.
Yeah, of course, bro. That's like, but this is the most deep conversation. Like usually when we talk, there's a lot of dick, fart, and poop jokes, that's about it. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
I just want to say that Chris Hunt Jr. has a good song called "Shallow," and also Lady Gaga has the "Shallow" song. I've had to listen to that a lot
Lady
of times.
Gaga.
Dude, I'm perfectly happy to change topics here and start talking about my band.
I want to talk about your band. Yeah. Let's talk about your band. Because
let me answer the young man's question over here.
Oh yeah, we were talking about 15-minute cities.
Let me tell you what the 15-minute city is.
All right,
okay,
focus.
So how does this sound to you? So first, let me set the stage. And you're young, so you don't have like as long of a frame of reference as I do. But when was the last time you remember any government abdicating power or authority? When do you remember a government just giving up and saying, "Okay, well, we went a little too far here. We probably shouldn't have done this. Here, have some power and freedom back."
Yeah.
How about never?
Shit.
How about never in the history of time?
No. Unless you're going to war, and the only way you relinquish that power if you lose the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not the government abdicating power back to its citizens or whatever it is. So the problem I have with 15-minute cities is not the fact that it's a 15-minute city. I live in one. I live here. I'm walking distance from here, less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, I appreciate. But I think that's like more. Yeah,
I appreciate the convenience.
But that's
I really do.
Outside. You think it's bad here? Try being in Northern Virginia. I grew up.
Oh, I know.
I went to
I
school
swear.
in Arlington, Virginia.
What
all
is
right?
a 15-minute city?
Okay, hang on. I'm
What is the
trying to
definition?
explain. So when you say I live, they're trying to create 15-minute cities. It's not in and of itself a bad concept, because basically what they want to do is put all of your conveniences, all of the things that you do
Within
every day
15
within
minutes.
a 15-minute radius.
Yeah.
Okay, walking. The problem is it comes with technology attached, and that's what we're seeing. Is do you want to be geofenced into that? Do you want to be? No, listen to me when I say this, because they're going to try to tell you that they're not going to do it. China's doing it. So the next step is, because governments don't abdicate power or authority, they're just going to take it to the next level. So they create a 15-minute city, very convenient space for you. Then let's say a couple years go by, and they want to start taxing you, a carbon tax, because of climate change. Because, if you're using too much carbon and driving too far or leaving your 15-minute district too many times, you need to pay a fee for that. And let's say it goes to the next level, which is what they're doing in some places where, well, you know what? You actually have to have a permit to leave now and talk to a bureaucrat to leave. Do your research, because of climate change. They've already split us. Think about this. They've already split us into essential and non-essential employees. They've already mind fucked people into which side of that they are. Okay. Easy. So if you're essential, you can drive out of your 15-minute city 15 times a month. If you're non-essential, you have to pay for a special permit to leave, because you really don't have an excuse to leave, because after all, you're non-essential. This is a natural progression of this thing. I don't have a problem with living in a convenient place and breathing clean air and drinking clean water and having things that are walkable. I enjoy that. I don't want to be geofenced into it. The technology here is what creates a very dystopian situation. It's a very Orwellian situation. And this is the first time, if you think about it, in the history of governance, that they've had this technology at their fingertips to do it. And it's all because we carry these. They've done a very good job of programming. You don't go anywhere without it. And everything, if they're allowed to implement these 15-minute city agendas, depending on how hard it's fought and how fast they do it, it may not be us, but your children will be living and dying by this device that they carry in their hand. They won't be allowed to go anywhere.
Sure.
Everything is about money and power.
This is where I say that the Mennonites and the Aborigines, they were right. Absolutely. Because of that stuff. Exactly.
So what's like the steps we're going in right now? Like what?
So, okay, so
first of all, can we talk about that Corey has one of the biggest chubs I think he's ever had in the studio, period.
Oh, are you
Like, we
tuned in, young man? Are you listening? Am I making sense?
You're making
No.
I appreciate the fact that I'm able to connect with a young person. This is like the Joe Rogan podcast back in the old days at this point, okay? But I don't want it to descend in conspiracy theory. Everything that I have just said is out there for public consumption. It's all absolutely true. You can check out the videos of the 15-minute cities in China. They're the ones who are developing this technology. They've got it down to a science. Now you see Western nations wanting to implement this. They're going to tell you it's not going to be at all like China. There won't be gates that you can't get out of. There won't be all these things. There won't be license plate scanners and retinal
Have you
scanners.
watched the movie
but there
Dredd?
absolutely are.
Have you ever seen the movie Dredd?
It's like from forever ago. I think so.
Well, there's
Sylvester
two of
Stallone?
them. No. There's two of them. There's two
No, I
of them.
probably
There's
haven't seen the new one.
there's Judge.
I pretty much turned the TV off at the same time I turned the
Demolition
radio
Man.
off. 1995.
Demolition Man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you the DVD. That's
Okay.
how old we
I
are.
remember that. I remember
Bring
that.
you the DVD of that, and then Dread 3D, but it's called Dread Double D now, and it's with DD. It's on Hulu. It's very much a description of what will happen given the current situation.
It's called
If you let it
predictive
go-
programming.
Well, sure. Listen, I can quote 1984 all day. All right, it was actually one of the very few books in high school that I didn't use the Cliff Notes for. And
Shout out Cliff Notes.
Yo, shout out Cliff Notes. If you know about it, then
CliffNotes.com.
you're probably getting a prostate exam.
Is there a
tomorrow.
CliffNotes.com
What's
now?
Cliff Notes?
Hey, I'll be honest with you, man. I think if there was audiobooks like easy on my phone in high school, I totally would have done way better.
What's a Cliff
He has
Note?
no
Dude,
idea.
ChatGPT is going to wreck everything. Like
I
all
know
these
what
all
Cliff
these
Notes
kids
are.
are going to be using chat to just write everything for them.
Yeah.
Like how do you? They have to completely redo public education at this point because of AI.
So there's this dude called the Time Traveler from 3036, and he talks about, and do you know, if you're on TikTok, you should know about this dude. And his thing was, and like, there's this whole huge conspiracy theory, and there's a bunch of documentaries about them. But one of the cool things I thought about the thing was that he calls this era the idiot era, and it's because
Oh, it's like the movie Idiocracy.
Well, even worse.
Right.
Even worse. And then he's like, fortunately or unfortunately, we have a big solar flare that comes through in the next few years, wipes out all of our technology, and then we have to restart again. Also, great show on Netflix. It's called Ancient Apocalypse. My wife and I watch it. It really will give you some introspection to,
Got him. Somehow we're descending into conspiracy theory.
Anyway,
here.
so I think about things a little bit more, I guess, pragmatic and practical, and I kind of look at them as objective.
This is
as
all
possible.
practical and true.
All right. So I just want to go back to a couple of things, how I like to segment processes.
Get it.
All right. So there are two types of humans. They are good and evil. When you break that up, there are now man or woman, and then there are sheep, shepherds, and wolves. All right. So what you're talking about in the 15-minute situation, that could work in certain situations, but you cannot restrain an American. That is everything un-American, to not be able to freely roam this beautiful land. That sounds horrible. I would fight against that in a moment. The next thing you need to think about is, I was having this thought earlier when you were talking about segmentation of people and polarizing them. And I, like, as a United States citizen, as American, you always want to project that out. So, okay, well, that's China because they're making TikTok, right? And you think, well, what if it is a conglomerate of all types of people, both inner and outer, and it's more than that, and it's more of like, on a global scale, good versus evil, and control versus freedom. And then, so anyway, that's how I would say that there's probably going to be wolves as we transition into the future, right?
Well, we're going to try not to transition as fast as they want us to, and that's the whole point of blue collar boycott, because we intend to throw the wrench of non-participation into the gears. Okay. So what this is, the website that is in the works. So this struck me. I moved very fast. I hired a web designer, pitched the idea, told him how I wanted it to look, gave him some examples of some news aggregator websites where people can share information and comment. That's in design. Hired a girl in Louisiana to run all the social media. As things started to just like grow and more followers came on, and I'm not a tech guy, as you well know, right? I'm not techie at all. So I knew that this was beyond me. I'm more of a team builder. So I know how to build a team. I know what skills to look for.
You know how to break into a bank.
I know how to break into a bank.
Right on.
All. So I'm a team building dude who can break into a bank. So anyway, so I now have a girl, fantastic Crystal, who lives in Louisiana, and she's running everything on the back end. And then I onboarded, so many people reached out to help. So I onboarded, a guy to do videography. So Tony Schaefer, who also has an amazing TikTok channel that's grown by leaps and bounds. It's a very similar message. He's the videographer dude. He's the guy that's going to be doing the podcast. I'm going to head out to Ohio here when the website launches, and he and I and another guy are going to do some podcasts. I have a marketing group. I have a dude doing merch design and sticker design and all these things, because this is the crawl, walk, run phase. So people are aware of the message. They're waiting on the website to launch. I'm trying to provide as much content as I can in the meantime to continue to get people to sign up for the newsletter. And when this launches, everybody wants to know, when do we strike? So again, there's that dynamic of polarism. We got to be very focused. There's so many things to be upset about in this country right now, whether you're on the left or the right. And people want to go after fucking everything, depending on which side of the fence they're on. What I am focused on is the fact that this is not a left and right in the United States issue. You look at the way France protests. Do you think we could ever protest like that here in the United States?
Hell
no way. And there's two reasons. One, because the cops in the United States would come down too hard on us, especially one side of the spectrum, because one side gets persecuted more than the other side. I'm willing to admit that. Okay. Two, it's because you couldn't get a consensus of the population to come together and protest. They'd be like, oh, no, it's just a bunch of Republicans showing up. We're not going there. And we'd be like, it's just a bunch of liberals showing up. We're not going to protest. Meanwhile, should we be protesting certain things that affect all of us, regardless of our political leanings?
Yeah, you need more shepherds among sheep to try to keep everybody together.
Yeah. So, and that is the purpose of the boycott. So, again, crawl, walk, run. We want to make more people aware of the movement. We don't have a lot of, we have probably 100,000 people right now that have expressed interest in wanting to participate, and that's great. But we need to build more horsepower. So the first phase is building horsepower. We need to, as a website launches, make people aware. I need to visit job sites. I need other ambassadors in other states to go out and visit job sites with stickers and hard hat stickers and cards, with a mission statement to let people know what we're trying to do, what we think is going on, and what we want people to pay attention to. And then, sort of concurrently with that is the quiet quitting element. So if I say to you, hey, man, you're a truck driver, maybe you should start looking at your load manifests and figuring out like where you're taking stuff and what's on your truck. And maybe if you're taking stuff to a certain thing or certain place, like, do you have license plate readers? Do you have retinal scanners? Where are they going? Do you need to really be hauling that load? Are you in a position that you could reject that load and not take it because you don't want to be delivering this type of technology to people because it's 9 times out of 10 going to be used for some purpose that's just going to exert more control over humanity. That's never going to work in our favor, as the 99%. Just gives people more control. So this is an information exchange. The first 2 steps are onboarding people, making people aware of the movement, aware of what we think is going on and what we think our kids could be dealing with in the future. Quiet quitting is an element, as I just mentioned, where you could just choose to not participate in a project. And then the strike, obviously, once there's enough horsepower in the organization, that is the nuclear option. And there will certainly be situations where we will completely strike a project. Are you aware of, who Governor Hochul is? What state?
No.
Kathy Hochul.
No.
That's why I'm trying to get you boys up to speed. Do you know what state? Kathy Hochul.
Who is it?
Kathy Hochul. What
Michigan. No.
Kathy Hochul. What state?
You have 50 guesses.
Okay, so that is the governor of New York.
Oh, shit.
Do you know what?
Close.
What are you doing?
We need beers, dude.
Oh yeah. So do you know what the governor of New York?
When you talk about your band, dude, or listen.
Hey, hold on. He's on the topic, right? Let's go.
What the
Governor of New York.
The lawsuit that the governor of New York lost was for her internment camps.
For who?
Oh, that's a good question. See, it doesn't really matter because it was for a public health crisis. Does that sound like anything you would be interested in participating in? Building?
No.
Does that alarm you at all that there's a governor of a major state in this country who is upset that she lost the right to intern people?
They were packing bodies into shipping containers, bro.
For any crisis she determines as a risk to public health and safety. So if you're a health risk, if there's another outbreak, let's say there's another arbitrary somebody announces, well, we have another pandemic, and you need to do this, this, and this, and if you don't, we're hauling your ass off to a camp. Does that make you feel comfortable at all? Because she lost that battle in court, and she's appealing it.
Yeah. What I'm afraid of is, like, when you crowd wolf, right? So, let's just say that, whatever case may be, that we were overcautious with a naturally occurring or modified virus, right? Mm-hmm. And it turns out that we're finding out now maybe decisions made that weren't good decisions, that weren't necessary, that cost the economy a lot and people a lot of burden. And then you also have instances where people are sure that maybe this has caused the death of someone they loved, right? So my problem would be, what if there was actually a biological warfare or biological element that was extremely potent, you know what I mean? Very high risk, that could kill a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you have to have some sort of processes in place?
Well, let me ask you a question. And this is probably above our pay grade because I'm not a virologist and you're not a virologist. But let me ask you a legit question. So, do you think that any living organism wants to kill itself or wants to live?
It wants to live.
Okay. So, what would be the incentive for any virus to kill its host? Is that the way viruses work? Because if it kills the host, then what?
Is there going to be an uncut version of this podcast?
We're going deep, bro.
I would like.
Should we redo it?
No. This is amazing because this is, to be honest, this is way more intellectual than I thought it was going to get. But I am definitely going to be the dummy in a minute and be like, I just want to hear about your band and all the stuff you do.
I love it. I'm loving it.
What does the blue collar boycott help to want to stop from happening?
So what we want to stop from happening is the technological advancement of tyranny.
15-minute cities.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. It's the technological advancement of tyranny. So they have technology, and it's the technological advancement of tyranny, and we want to deny them the skills and resources to do that. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So they're going to use this climate change grift to push everything. Absolutely everything. Because of climate change, you can't do this. You can't have an electric. You have to have an electric vehicle.
I saw the power meter thing in the FM
The power meter
radio
thing, and who knows if that's So I grabbed some things and I stitched some things, and I don't know if that's 100%. I looked at my power meter; it doesn't have a 1-watt transmitter on it. I do know I have a smart meter because they never have to read my meter. It's being read from central dispatch or whatever.
Sure.
But is it grabbing and transmitting other information? I don't know. They probably don't need one because I have like 4 Alexas in my house.
You got TikTok and Alexa.
Yeah,
dude.
no, why? It's wild as hell.
I don't have
man.
Alexa and I don't
Jeez
have
Christ.
TikTok. Like,
Okay, so but the deal with
You
TikTok
should've
is
seen
this is
my-
what gets me about TikTok. Do you think TikTok's collecting any data on you that your Facebook, your Instagram, and your MySpace and all that shit haven't been for years? How do they make money? It's a free account if you think about it. Does it cost you anything to have a Facebook account? No, it doesn't, and it never has. And you willingly post everything you're doing every minute of every day. Why would this platform exist if it weren't to collect your data and sell it to some fucking buddy else?
Whip it out. You know what I'm saying? If it's out,
Why would
it's
it
out.
exist, bro?
I just
I'm
want to
just
say,
saying, it's out, Joe. We
hey,
out here.
dude, as a musician, hey, listen, as a performing artist, as a business person, it's been used for commerce and communication.
Does it cost you anything?
If
If
I'm
you don't
using it in
if you don't
commerce-
push an ad, but if you don't push an ad and you just have a business Facebook page, does it cost you anything?
That's right. It's just like public TV.
All right, listen. This
there you
is yo.
But
This is definitely a
that's still a bit
conversation
different.
that can
That's still
go
different
on
compared
for
to, like,
several
Facebook.
hours. Ding, 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 ding.
This is going to be the
Ding,
longest
ding, ding, ding,
podcast
ding,
in
ding,
history.
ding.
Facebook versus TikTok is totally different.
Can we
Like,
talk
a
about
little
this
bit
man's
different.
band? Like,
Sure, yeah, we could talk about the bands.
Yo, this dude essentially.
It's a lot more fun.
You're an audible gargoyle
Hey,
in
thanks,
this
man.
town. You don't even realize it because when y'all are playing up there, it's a showstopper. People stop on the corner and they stop and they
That's
look
fantastic.
up. They're like,
And we're such hams that we
really,
open all the windows.
They really do. It's you and
That's the way you're supposed to be when you're a
yo.
musician.
Let's talk about Steve
Open
Patterson.
the fucking windows.
Can we talk about Steve Patterson?
Yeah,
Because
we
as
can.
two dudes that have got really
That
nice
dude's
hair.
gay.
Where's he been, man?
Yeah, no, he's not. That dude's like the antithesis to how's you doing. And I love that dude. And he's got
He's a good
great
dude.
hair.
Yeah.
And also a nice truck. And so shout out to Steve Patterson. He's
All
also-
the things he
he's
admires
also-
in a man.
No. He's also one of our regulars here.
He is.
So I'd like to shout out Steve Patterson. You know, he's
So that
in
guy,
mine.
so that's an interesting story. So Steve
He's
Patterson.
blue collar too, right?
Well,
All the boys you
he's on the white collar side of blue collar. He's on the engineering side. That fucks everything up for most
Right.
people. Anyway, so interestingly enough, Steve had an apartment out back here in the back part of the building. That's how I met him. Didn't know him before. And when this place is under construction, because of the amazing acoustics out in the main space where the event venue is, for all of you who don't know where we are, so out in the main hall, before any of the mezzanines were in it was like if you played acoustic guitar in there, you were in the amplifier. The acoustics were unbelievable. So I started playing in here, like in between building it out. I would sneak in on the weekend, play, and then some other guys would hear me play. They'd come in and play. And this is all sort of during COVID too, when everything was shut down.
What's the name of your band, real quick?
Sonic Disciple, bitches.
Sonic Disciple, man. You know, you were actually one of the first bands to play in this building, right?
We actually were, I guess.
Yeah,
when
And
it-
you
when it
played in the
kicked off.
kilt, and I thought
I
it was
did.
cool because I barely knew you.
was
Were you
New
looking?
Year's.
Were you looking at my legs?
Yo, you don't even know what I was looking at. I had successfully placed a bunch of mirrors around the place where I was like, that guy has an
So
amazing
anyway,
scrotum.
that's how I met Steve, because he wanted to learn to play guitar. He didn't know how to play, and he bought one. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey man, can you help me learn to play?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're like you can sit in and stuff, but I'm not a teacher. I taught myself to play." And this is what I tell everybody. Like when people see me weld and they're like, "Hey man, how can I learn how to weld?"
You weld.
It's a lot like sex. You can watch as much as you want. You just, sooner or later you got to get your hips into it. Now that's the same way about guitar, right? You can watch people play it all you want. Sooner or later, you just got to pick up the guitar and play, bro. And that's how you learn. And if you stick with it, you're gonna learn. This dude, we just played together over the weekend up here in the studio. He's what, 2 years in? He's walking up and down the neck playing chords, and he likes to do country, and he's doing a great job, and he's got it all figured out, and he's writing his own stuff and covering anything he wants.
Steve Patterson wants to be a country star.
That's what he's into, is the country
Wants
stuff.
to be.
Great.
He is one. He's already a folk hero amongst us.
He's out there
Look at
jumping
him.
on stage. He's out there jumping on stage with Darlington, in between stuff.
Oh,
and-
Oh yeah, he did do that. That's cool.
Yeah.
He's
And
got
it's
really
fun.
nice hair too. We got to talk about like
It's fun.
as
And-
properly coiffed gentlemen in this room. We actually, all of us are very nicely coiffed. You represent the man bun. This man over here with the nice.
Oh, I gotta say,
Vikings
so
thing.
anybody that sees this,
Me.
this is not because I'm a 33rd degree Mason. This is Commonwealth Barbershop I'm representing.
Yes.
33 South. Yeah, Kai. Dixie Phil, who will be here in
Mr.
week or
Showcase, man. We like that man.
Yeah, next
a lot.
week.
Yeah, I'm always representing.
It was Justin actually called Kyle on one of our podcasts and came up with the May the 4th.
Yeah, then he couldn't do it. Somebody in his band was doing something.
Oh, dope. Here we
Yeah.
go. But hey,
All right,
It'll
so
be here
anyway,
next- it'll be here next week.
that's not you. You can keep that on. We don't gotta cut that out.
My guys are super excited to play here on May the 6th. We lost our drummer. He gave his 2-gig notice. Nothing personal. He just wants to go like in a different direction.
2-gig notice. That's
His
great.
2-gig notice. That was our rules. We got to give a 2-gig notice. And since we only gig like once a month, that
That's
gives us.
fair.
So anyway, we already reached out to some people. We have an amazing drummer coming in, I think, to audition tomorrow, actually, in our studio. This dude named Darren, who used to play for a band in Martinsburg, West Virginia, called Solace, and he's. Do drum companies like hand out sponsorships left and right because he's got like all these sponsorships from drumstick companies and stuff? It's very.
How
It's
does
very
it
weird.
This may explain why I get so many free drumsticks at the end of the show.
Yeah,
strange.
the drumstick lifespan is pretty short, man.
They are.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got. I hope he
you
doesn't
didn't
mind
see
me
the
mentioning
collection
him.
yet.
So he's coming in, and hopefully that works out. I think we got a couple more that might come in after that. So we're not having trouble finding drummers that are attracted to the music, but we're looking forward to. And I think ultimately our current drummer Adam will still be here with us on the 6th
Sure.
because that falls within his 2-gig notice window. But that shit happens when you're in a band. People
Right.
do their thing. Frankly, I'm shocked that we have been together for as long as we have, which is coming up on 3 years, I think, at this point. It's the longest lived band I've ever been in.
Yeah, you guys are gonna. You should be able to be polished and on point, man. You
Oh, yeah,
guys
they're-
practice a
they're
lot.
all- we practice a
I
lot.
hear you up and down the alley.
They're all good musicians. They all
It's
do their
sh-
homework, man. So when we can throw together like 2 or 3 songs a set. So we're even to the point where we don't even really focus as much right now on covers. We're refining a couple of last ones that we put in, but we're writing our own stuff and trying to put that together. That's where we're spending most of our time because we got 40 cover songs we can do.
Right.
But once you get to that point, now you can focus on. You can still gig, but you can focus more on working in some originals.
Hey, if you're listening to this right now, it would sound like we have Mike Rowe on the show. Do you know Mike Rowe?
Oh, I know
the
who
Dirty
Mike Rowe is.
Job.
Yeah,
Dirty
yeah.
Jobs guy.
Dirty Jobs guy.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're talking, I'll be like, "Who was that? Is that Mike Rowe?" No, it's Grabowski.
Let's get back to the Joe Rogan shit. You want to talk about aliens?
You do. You does sound like Mike Pro now you mention it.
Can we talk more
Hold
about
on.
your band? Hold up.
No, I don't
Let's
know why
go
Chris
back.
keeps
doesn't
wants
wanna
to talk
go.
about the
He
band.
doesn't
What's
wanna
wrong
go.
with you, dude?
I want to talk about the band because that
Are we
I
getting-
think
are we getting
that
too trippy?
No, motherfucker, you talking to?
I was like, "Go ahead, do your plug, Chris."
No,
All right,
but
dude.
but seriously, the band because the band is cool to me because
I appreciate that.
no, because we're sitting over there, we're sitting over here, right? And we're setting up for a show, but y'all are practicing, and there's people that sit on the corner and they listen. They won't leave.
Right.
When y'all are going in between songs, they don't leave. You've seen it before.
Oh yeah. Well, we
When
have.
Grabowski's
Yeah,
busking.
mice, yo,
And a buskin'.
and then, so I just find you to be a very interesting individual because then on the way here, he's like, yeah, well, did you know that Mike has this TikTok thing going on? I was like, Mike has TikTok?
Yeah,
And then he was like,
it's
yeah,
weird.
do you know how many followers he has? And I was like, what in the who now?
Yeah, dude.
And so it was like, so this whole thing is very amazing to me because we interact.
Chris
on-
is freaked out. He didn't understand what we were going to talk about today.
I don't brag. I don't.
You don't have to.
I don't brag.
The,
I just
you
do
don't-
my thing.
No, but that's the thing. It was so cool. It's like I'll come out of my car and I'll take my break, my little nap in the car, wink, and then I'm out there and there's all these people on the corner, and they're
Right.
like,
But I got to say,
going on up
like
there?
we have that opportunity thanks to our benefactor here.
yes,
Because I mean, who
Let us
who
shout
else?
out Mr. McGee, Captain Ron,
Who else gets to set up a
himself,
practice studio on
Footlong Ronnie?
on the 4th floor of a historic bank building with 87 windows that they can open and amazing acoustics that they can just share with all the other buildings around?
Yeah.
So for as long as it lasts, it's a great practice space. I mean, hey, he wants to do something with the building, and sooner or later that's going to happen. But we're milking it for all it's worth, making memories. That's
Yeah.
what it is, having fun.
It's a cool jam
Just jamming.
spot.
It is a great jam spot.
Yeah, dude. So the blue collar.
Oh, here
holy
we go.
cow. When is your website going to be up, bro?
Dude, I would ask. So you think I know, because your interactions with me are as a contractor, and if you think you want to know how long something's going to take, and I tell
Oh,
you,
Jesus.
okay, wait. So I've learned not to overpromise.
All right.
So now I'm going to tell you, like, if you want to know how long it's going to take, if I think it's going to take a month, I'm going to tell you it's like 6 months.
Sure.
That way, I'm always the winner. Unfortunately, the web design people didn't do that. So when I engaged them about this, they were very excited about it. I found a conservative web design group because I felt that was important. In this regard, because again, I don't want to be polarizing here, but in some ways I feel like the blue collar boycott, the blue collar movement is primarily conservative people, and they're awake and aware because they're working class people. All right. The people who have the least amount of money are always the ones that are most awake and aware to what's going on. If you have a lot of money, you're still like a non-player character. You're not paying attention. That's why you're a non-player character, because you're clearly rich.
Get the hell out of
Dude,
here.
I'm just saying. How do you not know?
JT,
Anyway,
what's up with that?
I have dude, I have like this weird philosophy.
I feel like Jennifer Aniston about to walk out on Adam Sandler right now.
Oh, no.
That
That was a
with all
cheap
this
shot.
Baller ass money.
so anyway, I don't know, and I honestly, I'm not pushing that. Like, Crystal is a pit bull. She's pushing them hard to launch it. But I have asked for some extra things. I want it to be right when it goes live. So I'm giving them some space. What was originally 3 weeks that has now turned into 5 weeks makes me a little uneasy about, because they haven't been highly communicative with me.
You got short attention spans out there, bro.
I know. So, but that's Crystal she's, we had a discussion about this a couple days ago. She's like, I'm going to dog them out. I'm like, well, don't go too hard.
Sure.
Like, everybody's busy, and it's not like this is an emergency. It's not a money-making organization. So anyway, I don't know. That's a real answer.
Good.
Let me just play the contractor thing and say it'll be done in 2 weeks.
All right.
2 weeks. That's my answer to everybody.
And you're going to go on all the other social platforms now.
Yeah, so we've got everything set up, I think, except for, like, somebody wanted a LinkedIn. I see zero value in LinkedIn. Is there any value in
if you're going to have employees.
No, I don't do a LinkedIn. And then Twitter, in some ways, I don't know. I mean, I'm only going to have so much time to engage. Like, Twitter seems to me like to be a very immediate thing.
Active. Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Right.
I don't have the time or the intellect for that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to argue with people all day long. And that seems like Twitter to me is just people bitching at each other all fucking day. Yeah. I want to be able to post content, do some podcasts. So, that's mainly going to be your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for as long as it lasts, YouTube, Rumble. We have Rumble.
Rumble's nice.
So we'll be going live on all those.
Do you have a Patreon yet? Have you created Patreon?
Nah, because isn't that to get paid?
No.
Huh?
Oh,
Patreon's to get paid, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
it's like the professional version of OnlyFans, but like not like.
I don't have to show my feet. I don't have to show my feet.
No, Patreon's more like podcasting. And you won't get,
Hey, Mr. 6'7", I don't think anybody wants to see your feet. How's you doing?
So
Daggone Viking.
my whole thing with Patreon and all that stuff, I didn't want to say, hey, we're gonna do this blue collar boycott thing, and then here's what we're gonna do. I'd really be getting my nuts kicked in right now if I had immediately tried to monetize it because the website's lagging so far behind. I didn't want it to seem like a grift, because it's not a grift. I really don't need to do it. I'm hanging it out there to do it. You wouldn't believe, the amount of threats I've already had about this.
I guess
Really?
honestly, when you think about it, you don't really need Patreon anymore, because now YouTube does like a donation button, and probably Rumble probably does that too. But if you get a lot of subscribers and views on YouTube and Rumble, then they'll end up just paying you just because you're getting all those followers on this. There's probably no point in doing Patreon.
Dude, I'm too stupid.
Again, the content you're pushing, they're probably going to flag you, sadly.
I don't think they'll flag me because, listen, I don't want to push polarizing political content. I want to push the content that, hey, we need to pay attention to what these globalist douchebags are doing.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it's necessarily great for us. So nobody's being flagged for that right now. What you're being flagged for is calling out the right or calling out the left, mostly calling out the right.
Yeah.
And that's weird to me because, I mean, have you guys heard of are you familiar with like a poem? I don't want to, I'm going to come off like a douche here.
A poem?
Yeah.
A poem.
Poetic prose that was written, it's called First They Came. You'll recognize it if I say it. It's called First They Came. It was written by a German.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
A German.
With Mike Grabowski
I know
right
everybody.
now.
I
Holy
know.
shit.
Listen, man, I don't brag. So a German.
He's not your average Pollock,
A
right?
German Lutheran pastor in 1946, right when World War II ended, wrote this. It's poetic prose called First They Came. You've heard it when I launch into it. It's like, first they came for the socialists, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the unionists. I didn't say anything because I wasn't a unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Man. So that's sort of what's happening here. So right now you see the conservatives being, that's all they can handle. They gotta eat this elephant one bite at a time, whoever they are. So conservatives are being attacked, and persecuted, Christians and conservatives, right? Once they're out of the way, everybody's like, yay, they're gone. We hated those people. Then the next group rises to the top. Then they're dealt with. The next group, sooner or later, your sect, your political sect is going to rise to the top. You're never done being fucked with because you are, as much as you don't want to admit it, a fucking pawn. And I don't care if you make $4,000 a year or $400,000 a year. You're part of the 99%. You're a pawn to these people, bro. I told you I was going to crush it, and you didn't believe it.
All right.
Now look at you.
This goes for both. Hey, bro. This goes for both climate change and it goes for governance and policy.
Right.
Humans are fragile and young on the big fucking global scale and on the universal scale and the galaxy scale. You understand?
How you know?
Yeah.
We're very minute because
Somebody
man,
told you?
Jesus Christ.
You sound like a flat
She's
earther right
right.
now.
No.
Right.
No, listen. No,
She's
listen.
right.
Hey, listen. Honestly, we're very young. We know that the Earth is older than people sometimes assume. It's millions of years old. I don't know exactly.
Is it?
Yes.
A lot of Christians believe it's 3,600 years old.
I do not do that. Okay. So anyway, we're also learning basically in the history of our country. We're pretty much teenagers right now, right?
Right.
We're going through this teenage phase to where we can go out of the house and visit. We're going to other countries more often. We're more globally communicating, right? And we're trying to work that out and figure that out. And it's going to be hard. There's going to be friction and fights within it to try to figure it out. But we're going to. And as it relates to climate change, we're also in a very minute scale of measurement to quantify the activity
true.
that goes on the earth.
There you go.
But we can also measure that we fuck up our waters, we fuck up our
That's true.
waterways, we fuck up our air, we fuck up a lot of stuff. And I think that the circular economy is important so we understand how to measure outputs and decrease outputs because I get kind of, I've said this 100 times, but I study sustainability when I'm available, not here, part-time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I did it was because I wanted the places that I hang out with my kid, and I remember that time when I wrote that 4-H public speech that I was really, because I was working on the farm all the time with my grandparents at the time, and the air is clean. I went back home recently, and the air was cleaner there. So I appreciate that, and I think that as a conservative, you can still be a conservationist
Absolutely.
and still care about things and still want, I want capitalism to be strong.
Right.
Commerce should be strong, but large organizations should measure their outputs and be more responsible when possible, so long as it doesn't lead to massive poverty for the sake of something like
Does
that.
anyone else find it strange how climate change is such a huge thing, right? Everybody's super freaked out about climate change.
I'm not worried about climate change.
Oh,
I'm
no,
worried
no,
about
no,
the
I'm not talking-
waterway.
I'm not talking
behind
about
my
you.
house.
I'm worried
I'm
about
not talking
Sound
to you.
Disciples
So-
next
Hold on.
release.
So everybody's
to be
super
quite
concerned.
honest.
Everybody was
Rubble.
super concerned about
Rubble.
climate change, but hear me out on this.
Hold on.
When is Sound
Where-
Disciples next release?
Everybody's super concerned about climate change. Where exactly was everybody when they were giving zero fucks about East Palestine? They're willing to conflate climate change and environmental responsibility
this
when it's
what-
when it's convenient for them, but when it's not convenient for their political narrative, they separate climate change. Climate change has something to do up here, and that shit that's spilling into the river has nothing to do with climate change. But they'll put that right back together with environmental responsibility as quickly as they can after that. So it's very weird, very polarizing. Somebody's pulling the strings. These people aren't thinking of this on their own. What would you like to know about Sonic Disciple?
I want to know when the Sonic Disciples.
Oh, dude, we just did-
You guys just a bunch of videos.
Okay,
with a
we
real
did
deal producer.
What you haven't heard.
We can really go
Okay.
like the right.
What you
place.
haven't heard is our amazing cover of The Pot by Tool. We did that.
I heard it.
I had to
actually. You
sing
sent me
it.
the video, and it was amazing.
I had to sing it because this guy didn't show up to sing it at the last gig. I wanted him to sing it.
never does.
He has a much better
He
Tool.
never does.
He has a much better Tool voice than I do. I have to drop tune to like drop A flat.
The less hair you have, the better you are at singing Maynard. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Come on, man.
So
had to
we
do
may actually May 6th gig. You going to be here?
Who are you?
There you go.
to
You're singing
wave
it.
Your finger?
I will defer
It must
to
have
you.
been out your
I will defer to you.
head.
I'll do the screamy parts. You do the rest of
All
it.
right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, May 6th, you're
Yeah, you
on.
gotta show
On
up.
and poppin'.
I'll be in my work outfit, but I'll come up and do it.
Just
Who cares?
Bring a
Just
secondary outfit.
take your hair
Why
and put
you-
it in a spiky mohawk. Oh, wait a minute.
no, man.
No, we'll
I'll
get
just
one
sit
of
behind
those.
your drummer.
We'll just go get one of those, like, you know, those eyelashes they have for cars.
Yeah.
We'll get two of them and glue them to the top of it.
That's perfect. And then make a mohawk, a Maynard mohawk out of it. That'll
be
be
awesome.
amazing.
Dude, Maynard does that too. He uses wigs and all kinds of stuff. So weird.
Yeah. He's into it.
Him and that dude from Rammstein.
Hey, at the end of the day, look, guys. Everybody, Chris gets anxious because they're talking about polarizing topics.
No, I'm not anxious. I just think
He
it's
looks
like
paranoid.
I'm super paranoid, dog. Yeah, you're right about that. Man.
It's fun.
But I think
But doesn't it get exhausting sometimes not being able to talk?
I can talk, bro. It's just
I
that
know, but
we don't
in
have
general.
the time.
We're about to do
We
that.
don't have the time nor the
We
narcotics.
thought we were
for it,
getting.
you know
We thought
what
we
I
were
mean?
getting deep. He's getting ready to go deep.
That's but let's be real. We're in the business of entertainment. It's obviously honest that we love hearing about like blue collar. Like when he told me about it, I was like, Mike Grabowski.
Oh, you're right. We had to interject entertainment into this.
Yeah.
What do you mean? This whole
I'm an
thing is
entertaining
based
dude.
on entertainment.
I'm entertained.
He's super entertained.
Yeah, so entertained.
He's like, what?
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that they want to hear about the fun stuff that we do because
That's
it's
true.
all the whack stuff that we do, nobody cares about. But like like curfew.
They want the hoochies coming out with curfew. They want to hear about who's on your hoochie list.
I want to
curfew.
hear about like
I
I want
got
to hear
no
about
one on
like
my Hoochie list.
I want to hear what it's like to be up in the bat cave up there and y'all are just jamming out and you're like the gargoyle of sound on the block. You know what I mean? Like that's cool to me. We always talk about like what we could do with the top area of that, and it's like, yo, I mean, like it's self-evident.
Oh
And
yeah,
then-
it's awesome.
And the fact that you're much more in touch with a lot more shit than I thought you were is amazing.
I'm
too.
just a dumbass construction worker, bro.
No, you're not. Dude. Motherfucker. You're also like 7 feet tall, man. It's cool, man. But
Can you slam dunk?
Not anymore, dude. My knees are like I'm 50. Come on, man. Cut me some slack. I know you're gonna feel like you're 22 forever.
I'm 26 and a half.
Hey, you're gonna feel like you're 26 and a half forever, even though you're like
And a half.
19.
Hey, man, I don't know
I
if
started
it's...
paying my own health insurance. All right, give me a
Did
break.
you
Good for
really?
you,
No,
but-
this
As soon as he had to, 6 months ago, I had to start.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a fallacy of my
Rules are rules.
decision as far as like the strategic direction of the monument in whole, but like as a public forum and as an entertainment vessel, people, freedom of speech is extremely important to me, and free artistic expression is extremely important from every angle and every which way. And I think
That's a good point.
being able to have debate and dialogue is critical, and anything we can do to make that happen. And we would never really try to stifle somebody's need to talk.
It's not just the new venue in town. It's a monument to live entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
The Monument, the new premier concert and event venue in Winchester. 2 stories, state-of-the-art sound, delicious food and drink, and the best in live events. The Monument, on the corner of Loudon and Piccadilly in Winchester, and right at the cutting edge of live entertainment. Go to themonumentva.com. That's themonumentva.com for events, tickets, special offers, and more. The Monument. We'll see you at the next show.